that is when he will be disturbing himself. He'll be disturbed himself. The more he is disturbed, the more he'll be disturbing the world in terms of disturbing the order. That is how he becomes a asadhu purushaha. Who is an asadhu purushaha? He becomes a wrongdoer, you know. Then we can call him as a bad person in the society because he becomes a bad element. Okay, so that's why it's very important for one to be clear about the existence of, even accepting the existence of Brahman is there, and there's a possibility of discovering that Brahman being one's own self. Even though not immediately, actually there'll be a time the person can discover that Brahman as one's own Swarupam, which means the person can have a goal, Brahman as the goal. That's what we saw yesterday. Now we let us move on to the next two. Okay, page number 325. Yesterday we saw the last one. In page number 323, we saw the consequence of denying the existence of Brahman, where it will lead a person to. It'll end up in showing the person as a Nastikaha. A person will become a non-believer of, the person does not believe in the existence of Brahman, and then he becomes a non-believer, a Nastikaha. That is how become a Asan Purushaha, Asadu Purushaha, Uchyate Loke. Okay, now in page number 325, today's lesson. Now Tadiparitaha. Suppose a person, even if he does not know Brahman, of course nobody knows Brahman, then he accepts the existence of Brahman, then what will be the benefit? We saw the consequence of the non-acceptance of Brahman. Now Shankaracharya mentions the result of the benefit of accepting the existence of Brahman. Tad viparita sanne. Maybe I should read the whole thing together so it become completely. So, yo nasti brahmeti manyate, so sarvasya sanmargasya varnashramadi vyavastha lakshanasya nasti tvam pratipadyate brahma pratipatyarthatvat tasya ataha nastikaha saha asan asaduhu uchyate loke. Now, in page number 325, I'm reading the new lesson today. Today's class where I've had to begin. Tad viparita san. So, tad viparitaha san. So, on the contrary to that thinking, no, Brahman does not exist. What on here? Suppose a person accepts the existence of Brahman. Yaha asti Brahma ched, asti Brahmeti ched veda. Brahma asti iti veda ched. Asti Brahmeti ched veda. Brahma asti Brahma. Brahman exists iti veda, ched veda. If a person knows, the person understands the existence of Brahman, then saha tad Brahma pratipatti hetum sanmargam varnashramadi vyavasthalakshanam shraddadhanataya yathavat pratipadyate yasmat tataha tasmat santam sadhu margastam yenam viduhu sadhavaha tasmad asti tyeva brahma pratipattavyamiti vakyartaha. Tasmad asti tyeva brahma pratipattavyam iti vakyartaha. Okay, what it is said here? So that tad brahma pratipatti hetu sanmargaha. What is sanmargaha? As we saw the path which leads one finally to the discovery of reality, Brahma Sat, is called Sanmargaha. What is the path which leads one to ultimately the discovery of Brahman, the reality? obtaining as one's own self. This is the way of life. The way of life, living a life of karma yoga. That's the best expression we can say. The way of life is living a life of karma yoga, is sanatana dharma, an eternal way of life. Why, when I say the word eternal, it's a very important expression. Something he, even though he didn't come here, I heard him telling many times. Eternal, it's an eternal way of life, the way of life which is suitable for all people of all times, of all places. Not only people of these days, people of the past, people of even in future. How many ever generations are going to come, even in future and future and future, forever, this is the way of life. That's why it's an eternal way of life. Not it has been being followed by people from time immemorial. It is still being followed. It is being followed now. It is going to be followed forever. It has to be followed forever. Universally followable way of life is what? Sanatana Dharma, eternal way of life. This is what said Sanmargaha. It is living a life of Karma Yoga. So living a life of Karma Yoga, which will gradually take one to another way of life. Way of life means what? Same way of life, which will culminate in the mental purification, which will bless a person with mental purification, mental steadiness, which should culminate in the discovery of the truth, obtaining as one's own Swarupam. I told you many times before also in my public talks, I said, why Sanatana Dharma, it's an eternal way of life. It is called because it's suitable for all people of all times, of all places, of all cultures. Why? Because this is based on two non-refutable facts. This way of life is based on universally non-refutable facts. What are those two facts? That nobody in the world can deny this fact that everybody in the world wants to be happy. Nobody wants to be unhappy. This is one fact. Okay. The moksha, the end, moksha purushartha is based on this fact that nobody in the world wants to be unhappy. Everybody in the world wants to be happy always, everywhere, with everybody. This is the fact. One fact number one. Another fact is nobody in the world wants to get hurt, offended. Okay, and this is the based on this, the whole way of life governed by the universal value of non-hurting, ahimsa paramo dharma. Ahimsa paramo dharma is the exalted of all the values, universal values, and following which all other values become strictly naturally followed. That is why it's called exalted of the values. Now, speaking the truth, not cheating, not hurting, not looting, not betraying, all other follows. All other values become followed, strictly, if this one value is strictly followed, ahimsa paramo dharma. Isn't it? Therefore, that is why this karma yoga is a way of life which is based on the fact that nobody wants to get hurt. And second thing, the moksha is based on the fact that nobody in the world wants to be unhappy. These are the two universally non-refutable facts based on which the whole way of life is there, which means it is a way of life which can be followable by all people of all times, of all places, of all cultures. Anyway, so this is the way of life, and that is called sanmarga. Is only marga, is only way of life which is like a path which will lead one to the discovery of Brahman, obtaining as one's own innermost self. Okay, aparoksha brahma jnanam is possible. One can discover Brahman as an immediate self, as one's own Swarupam. That's why it's called Sanmargaha. And this Sanmargaha, again, is what? Sanmargaha is actually in the form of following the way of life, which is based on strictly following the Varna dharmas, Ashrama dharmas, etc. And so that person, Shaddadhanataya Yathavat Pratipadyate Yasmat, because he's following that way of life, and he's also, he is, so he lives a life of dharma that definitely is a life, is the person who's following Sanmarga is a prayerful life, worshipful life, righteous life, ethical life, spiritual life, a religious life, which means definitely this is Sanmargaha. This is a life. Therefore, this person is very relaxed. As I mentioned, person who's very clear about his means and the end, then if he knows what he should be doing, his duties, he is focused in his duties. Therefore, he's not, doesn't get excited about anything in the world. Therefore, he's very relaxed. See, not getting excited about anything external, what is happening outside other, that thing itself, what will make a person remain relaxed. Therefore, such a person with the Shraddha, with the Shraddha, when he follows. So Shraddha means what? He follows his way of life without compromising with dharma. There's no compromise. He will not change his way of life for anything else. Which means moksha is the pradhana, important for him. Therefore, he doesn't compromise with this way of life. That person definitely yatavat pratipadyate, he definitely attains that jnanam. So tataha tasmat santam sadhuhu margastam enam viduhu. Other wise people also understand him to be a sadhu purusha who is in the right track, who's not in the wrong track, who's in the right track. Therefore, they take him as a righteous person, a sadhu purusha. Tasmad asti ityeva brahma pratipattavyam. Therefore, it is important that Brahman should be recognized as an existing reality. Tasmat, therefore, asti Brahma ityeva, asti ityeva Brahma pratipattavyam. Therefore, it is important that Brahman should be recognized as an existing reality. This is the lesson here. Okay. In fact, something beautiful Swamiji tells here, I wanted to share with you that you can read it also on your own. People who study Sanskrit Bhasha, you can easily understand. It's a very simple thing. You know, in some Sanskrit language, we have three, in every language we have three persons: first person, second person, third person. Usually the word in Sanskritam, Prathama Purushaha means third person. Prathamaha means first. Actually, it is a first. Prathamodhyayaha. You all know the word Prathamaha means first. But the third person in Sanskrit language is Prathama Purushaha. And the first person is Uttama Purushaha. Uttama means what? The best. Isn't it? Best. It's exalted. Something superior, great. Uttama Purushaha. First person, Uttama Purushaha. Prathama Purushaha. And the second person is Madhyama Purusha. One in between is Madhyama Purusha, middle person. So, how it is understood? Why the third person is Prathama Purusha? If you translate Prathama as first, and then if you say Prathama Purushaha, it becomes first person. But actually, you're showing the third person. So, what is Prathama Purushaha? All that is here is Prathama Purushaha only. So, Bhagavan is the first and the foremost of everything. As the source of existence, Bhagavan being the very existence and substance of the whole cosmos, Bhagavan is what? Always before the universe came. I mean, what? Bhagavan is always there, always there. When the universe is existent, Bhagavan is there. When the universe resolves, also Bhagavan is there. Bhagavan, in the form of the very subtlest reality, as existence, as a substance, Bhagavan is always there. Therefore, Bhagavan is the Prathama Purushaha, the first and the foremost of all the beings. Prathamajaha. We said Prathamaha. Therefore, when a person happens to talk about anything in the world, that must be what? Talking about the third person, Prathamaha. So Bhagavan becomes the object of discussion. Prathama Purushaha means that whoever wants to say something about anything in the world, that becomes what? Discussion about on Bhagavan only, who is the mouth of the whole world, third person. Okay, the person who's speaking is able to speak only if somebody to listen to. That person becomes the second person, Madhyama Purushaha. And the one who is talking about this third person is the first person, Uttama Purushaha. Okay, but one's own self, Uttama Purushaha, becomes always unknown. Always unknown. When we discover this Uttama Purushaha, the Prathama Purushaha, you finally understand what? That Uttama Purushaha is another than, Prathama Purushaha is another than Uttama Purushaha. Okay? Prathama Purushaha is non-different from Uttama Purushaha. The third person, Bhagavan, okay, who is in the mouth of the whole Jagat, is not different from one's own Swarupam. When you understand that Bhagavan, the Prathama Purusha, being one's own Swarupam, then Uttama Purushaha. Therefore, Uttama Purushaha is Bhagavan, Prathama Purushaha is Bhagavan. When you discover it, you become what? Aham Brahma Asmi. Uttama Purushaha is Prathama Purushaha, Prathama Purushaha is Uttama Purushaha. And the second person also becomes included in the Uttama Purusha later on. What I want to say, you can read again if you want. There's different ways of talking about it. I don't want to take too much of time for this. But anyway, it's nice to know, isn't it? Samskritam. So Swamiji discusses this in page number 326. Have we made it clear or not? In 326, Swamiji second paragraph, he starts there and he ends this in 327, first paragraph. The Vakyataha purport of this discussion is this. Asti eva Brahma Pratipattavyam. Brahman has to be first recognized as Asti. Asti means what? Exists. All that is here is Brahman. You begin with Brahma Asti. You begin your inquiry with Brahma Asti, Brahman is, and end with Brahma Asmi. End with Brahma Asmi. I am Brahman. Asti is a verb in Prathama Purushaha, third person. See, if anybody wants, I'm reading it out mainly, just try to say this. Asti is a verb in Prathama Purushaha, third person. And Asmi is a verb in Uttama Purushaha, first person. Parameshwaraha is called Uttama Purushaha. Swamiji quotes a Bhagavad Gita verse. Uttama Purushastvanyaha Paramatmetyudahritaha Yo Lokatrayama Vishya Bibhartyo Yaya Ishvaraha. So Bhagavad Gita 5th chapter 17th verse. So Uttamaha Purushaha tu Anyaha Paramatma iti Udahritaha. Who is Uttama Purushaha? Who is the flawless Purushottamaha? Who is the absolutely flawless, exalted of the beings? Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the most exalted of all the beings, absolutely flawless. No punyam, no papam, no impurities, nothing. Absolutely flawless is the reality. Bhagavan in the form of reality. That's why Bhagavan is said to be of all the beings, the most exalted is the very truth obtaining in all the beings as the existence of all the beings. Purushottamaha. Paramatma iti udahritaha. And Yah Lokatrayam Avishya Vibharti. And he pervading Lokatrayam Avishya, pervading this entire universe, the Bhagavan who sustains this universe, Vibharti, Avyayaha Ishvaraha, indeclinable, imperishable Lord in the form of reality, pervading this entire universe, sustains this universe. That is Paramatma. He is what now? World is what? Uttama Prathama Purushaha. Prathama Purushaha. So Parameshwara is called, actually we have two words. The third person we call Uttama Purusha, Prathama Purushaha. The Parameshwara is, Bhagavan is Uttama Purushaha. Anything that one talks about, this is very nice, he's mentioned, making it very clear here. Anything that one talks about within Bhagavan's fold is Prathama Purushaha. The one who is talking is Uttama Purushaha. In between the two is Madhyama Purushaha, second person, who is the listener. In conversations, in terms of importance, I have to first see whether I have a topic to talk about. So it is called Prathama Purushaha. The second consideration is whether the person to whom I'm talking is interested in listening to me or not. The last consideration is myself, my pressure to talk. I come into picture only when the other two are there. This is an important arrangement in Sanskrit. The Prathama Purushaha, Mukhya Purushaha is in fact Bhagavan. See, the Prathama Purushaha, actually third person, okay, in the form of world, in fact, is Bhagavan. When Prathama Purusha's grace is there, one studies and understands the fact that Prathama Purusha is Uttama Purushaha. The third person is first person. When Prathama Purusha's grace is there, one studies and understands the fact that Prathama Purusha is Uttama Purusha. I am that Brahman. Okay, that's what I want to say. Okay, then rest are for you to read. I just wanted to remind you that. Okay. Anyway, we understand. Yeah. No, not that way. See, the whole is Bhagavan. Recognition of Bhagavan, the whole, has to be only in one's own Swarupam. Okay, you don't understand Bhagavan. Recognition of Bhagavan is only one's own Swarupam. Not first to see, to understand that Bhagavan being the order, the whole later on talks. First, initially must have apatata jnanam. Okay, the universe is, therefore the cause of universe must be there, Bhagavan is. That is the understanding, not that you know already. So how Bhagavan is the whole, that becomes clear. Bhagavan is in everything in the universe, whether you believe it or not, you know it or not, everything is Bhagavan only. It's a fact. Okay, it begins. But the question of discovering Bhagavan's Swarupam comes, definitely that has to happen only as one's own Swarupam. no doubt about it. Because Bhagavan in the form of truth has to be recognized only in terms of its Swarup of knowing first. Therefore, one's own Swarup I said. See, not that you understand Bhagavan, how Bhagavan is. How? Because the whole cosmos is. Therefore, Bhagavan must be. This is the assumption. Then who that Bhagavan is, how that Bhagavan is. With the help of the Shastram, that trust, then that results in worship and prayer, etc. All good karma and trust in Shastram. Then it helps you live a life of dharma, which gradually blesses you with the even understanding of the teaching. It's called Shastra Kripa, Guru Kripa, Bhagavat Kripa. Bhagavan's grace will be in the form of Guru's grace, will be in the form of Shastra's grace also, Shastra Kripa. Everywhere grace will work. Okay, move on to next one. Page number 327. Yeah.
Short question. Good people know this verse as Sat, the revelation on the previous idea of who becomes an object of knowledge for others.
Yeah, no. There, see, the person, he becomes an object of knowledge for others means an existent thing alone can become an object of knowledge. The person who does not believe in the existence of Brahman, he is as good as non-existent, then he cannot be an object of knowledge for others because he's non-existent. The person who exists, believes the existence of Brahman, then he has the status of being existent, thereby he becomes an object of knowledge for others. That's what he mentioned. See, the non-believer also is an object of knowledge only, but still he becomes a non-entity. One who denies the existence of Bhagavan is actually denying one's own existence. Even if he is there, he's as good as non-existent. But the person who believes, who accepts the existence of Brahman without denying, even if he does not know, then he is existent. As an existent being, he is an object of knowledge. He's available for objectification. A non-existent thing is not available for objectification, like Vandhyaputra or rabbit's horn. So because he doesn't deny the existence of Brahman, he is existent. Okay. Therefore, he becomes object of knowledge for others. He has that status of being existent because of his non-denial of existence of Brahman. See, I want to see the connection, how Shastram takes it. See, if it's not simply a person who denies the existence of Brahman, Bhagavan, actually, then there's no goal for him. The goal itself will not be there. The goal is not there, then what will he do with the buddhi, all the instruments? He will get restless. They're all given for you to use. The body is given, sense organs are given, organs of actions are given, thinking capacity is given. At least you are not like animal. At least animal is okay, harmless. It wants some food, it eats and it lives. Harmless. Because the thinking capacity and the willpower, my God, the human being can be the most harmful person. They're programmed, they cannot do more than what they are programmed to do, like our computer or any other thing. With the lifeful programmed thing. Computers, lifeless programmed thing. All our electronic goods are programmed and they function because the knowledge is this input is there. They're all programmed how to work. Then non-living. All animals are programmed with the life. So they're harmless. They can't do more than what they're programmed to do. But we human being is given the choice, willpower, and he's given the capacity to choose to do an action and capacity to think. So if this thinking capacity and the willpower is not properly channelized, he can be the most harmful person. You can see that what's happening in the world also. All wars, if you see, because of this only. How they think, misuse and abuse his thinking capacity, abuse the willpower, abuse knowledge of the capacity to think also. How quickly they can think and contribute for damaging the whole world. So what I'm saying, it is possible. Therefore, the goal is setting the goal is very important. Then the purpose of living this life becomes very clear if Brahma, at least acceptance of Brahman is there. It's not because only for sake of, it's a fact also. Not a Shastram wants to really make us tame us like how we tame the dogs. No, it is definitely Shastra teaching is not for taming the human minds. It's not for brainwashing. It's not for brainwashing. It's not for hypnotizing. It's not for mesmerizing. It is definitely not for taming, like how we tame the dogs. No, it is definitely for enhancing the clarity of vision. It definitely it's for expanding the vision of increasing what all the buddhi can be achieved. Sharpening intellect. It sharpens intellect. The sharpened intellect must be given appropriate food also. That is, discovery of Brahman. So the reality, Brahman, acceptance of Brahman reality. Of course, we don't want to accept the word God. Some people are very, they can't stand the word God because they something religious. Something is now superstitious. Okay, leave them. Don't accept the Bhagavan and God and Lord, etc. At least you can't deny the existence of the reality. Which scientist can deny the existence of cause of an effect? So reality is there. That's a Vastu, reality, Brahma. Then, okay, try to discover it. When a person wants to discover, how can I discover? Then Pramana Buddhi comes. Pramane Shraddha. Or interest in Pramanam comes. When you want to see something, then you know the value of your eyes, how important they are. So Pramana Buddhi, Shastra, when interest in Shastram comes, Shraddha is there. Then Shastra teaching, once you're given to, it's called surrendering oneself to Shastra study. Shastram Sharanam Gachami. Shastram is our guide, definitely no doubt. When you're given to this proper study of the Shastram, then Shastra teaching takes care of things. Because then, that is why Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na Pramaditavyam, that repeated and repeated and repeated, because Shastra study will take care of one's way of life. Because I follow the Shastra teaching means, that's called what? Sanmargaha. Then that way of life I follow blesses me with adequate understanding to live my life peacefully, quietly, irrespective of what I have, what I do not have. Just doing my duties. Amazing. This is real spiritual life. That's why without anything also, with the minimum comforts also, people can be happy. With all comforts also, people don't have luxury. Without any comforts also, people have luxurious life. Luxury is not in having comforts, in having understanding. With all luxuries, we see life being very uncomfortable. With all the comforts also, we see there's no luxury, no sukham. Okay. So, have you answered the question or not finally? Have you answered? Not it?
Media, the aspect of side of this one following path not invisible, because it indicates the whole world, not the object of thought.
Not the whole world. In the personhood now.
All people that don't believe in God are these words are not an object of knowledge.
Yeah, they're non-entities. Very bad word, okay? Did you see somewhere it's mentioned non-entity? It's a very profound sentence. It's a very painful sentence, but still it's a fact also. You can think about it. Tasya purvasya vijnanamayasya yesha. Now I'm not hurry to finish. Tasya purvasya vijnanamayasya. Now we are moving on to the next topic, okay? So now what is the finally what has been arrived at now? Therefore, it must be it must be your understanding that Brahman should be understood. Brahman should be discovered. Therefore, that's the only way a person can progress in life. He can be peaceful throughout. He can accomplish the absolute peace also. So he can be peaceful, he can contribute for the peace of the world also. That is why Swamiji used to make it fun of it. Any, suppose the peace conference for the world peace conference, people will get together and they discuss how to bring peace in the world. Actually, you can contribute for the peace of the world only if you are peaceful. And you are being peaceful, take care of yourself. When you are sinking yourself, why do you want to uplift other person who is sinking? So the thing is how to keep oneself in good humor. See, understand the teaching and follow the teaching and live the way of life. See that you are at home, you are at ease. Then once you take care of your tranquility, then if you do your duties in conformity with dharma, you don't need to do anything specially for contributing for the world peace. Every individual follows this, and we're all contributing for the world peace. Dharma Anushtanam is the best way of contributing for the world peace. Not by giving some money and sending some millions of dollars to somewhere to social service activities, clean the place. No, that of course that'd be very helpful, but that's a different thing. But real dharma, real contribution for the world peace is consciously living a life of dharma. And consciously living a life of dharma is also possible only when a person lives in the awareness of the total, which is a meditative life. Meditation is not sitting and closing your eyes and doing also. That's a discipline, okay? But here, always living in the awareness of Bhagavan being the whole, in the awareness of the total, that seeing oneself being part of the total. That means I'm not outside of the world. Therefore, anything, anywhere affected will affect me also. So my happiness is definitely my wellness, my well-being, my welfare is in the welfare of the entire world around. This fact will be very clear. This is what a beautiful, subtle teaching it is. Living in the awareness of the total. This is Upasana. This is meditation. When you discover that fact, how it is Jnanam. Okay. Tasya purvasya vijnanamayasya yeshaha eva sharire vijnanamaye bhavaha shariraha atma. So he says, Tasya vijnanamayasya sharire ye vijnanamaye bhavaha shariraha atma. So now vijnanamaya kosha is like this shariram. And who is that who indwells this vijnanamaya kosha? So sharira atma kosau kaha asau. The question, yaha yeshaha anandamayaha. This anandamayaha is the sharira atma indwelling the anandamaya koshaha. Okay. Tam prati ka asti ashanka nastitve. Tam prati ka asti ashanka nastitve. So tam prati means what? Regarding that anandamayaha, how can there be doubt? How can there be doubt? Ashanka ka. Ashanka means doubt. Ka ashanka tam prati. Regarding that anandamaya kosha's existence, what doubt is there? It is very obvious. Anandamaya is existent because there need not be doubt. Does Anandamaya exist or not? Is there any doubt about it? No doubt. Why? If something, when the question of Brahman comes, we can say Brahman being the abstract reality not available for any transaction. Therefore, it is difficult to accept the existence of Brahman. Brahman is non-existent, we can say. But when the question of this Anandamaya comes, there need not be any doubt because very much available for experience. As Priyam, one mental disposition, Modaha, little slightly different mental disposition, Pramodaha, much slightly, again, highly different mental disposition, some of Vrittis, always available for experience. Therefore, this Anandamaya being available for experience in terms of experiential pleasure as Priyam Modaha Pramodaha, we need not doubt the existence of Anandamaya Kosha at all. There's no possibility of doubting the existence of Anandamaya. Why? It's always available for experience. It is possible for us to doubt the existence of Brahman because of its non-availability for transaction. Is it clear? Okay. Therefore, that's what is said here. Why he has to mention this? Because this is a question. Shankara Bhagavad Pada raises this, not an objection, like he presents this a discussion itself in the context. Why? It's an answer for Bhartru Prapanchaha. Okay. Bhartru Prapanchaha, the Vrittikaraha. Vrittikaraha means the person who writes commentary upon commentary. Okay, that Vrittikaraha Bhartru Prapanchaha, he takes this entire Anandamaya Kosha as what no, Atma. Atma for him is Anandamaya Kosha. Actually, Shankara Bhagavad Pada or any Advaitin will take it what only Atma, the central part of the Anandamaya Kosha, which alone is a source of all degrees of pleasures, and that Brahman alone will be taken as the Atma. And the rest of the three, Priyam, Modaha, Pramodaha are Anatma. Why Anatma? Object of experience. Anything which is an object of knowledge, object of experience is Anatma. Why? Because it is of the nature of inertness. Anything known, experienced. This is the order, okay? Anything known, anything experienced, anything which is an object of experience is of the nature of inertness. And anything which is of the nature of inertness does not have independent existence of its own. It has different existence. Therefore, it is mithya. When it is because it has different existence, it is mithya. It is not countable as reality. It is as good as non-existent. And second thing, anything which is available for experience also is mithya. Okay, available for experience means available for transaction. Oh, it is there. You must remember here. Therefore, and what is that which is not available for experience alone? Experience, or what is not available for transaction alone, is possible for one to mistake that as to be non-existent. Even though it is existent, it is possible for one to mistake that to be non-existent. So it is possible for one to mistake the Brahman for non-existence. But how can, if a person mistakes the Anandamaya as Atma, Brahma, and Anandamaya being available for experience, is it clear? Experience. How can Anandamaya be mistaken for Brahman? Is it clear now? Which means Brahmatma, Atma, Brahman is not Anandamaya because it is available for experience. Brahman is not available for experience. That is why the doubt itself is possible only regarding Brahman, not regarding the doubt about the existence of Brahman is possible. The doubt about the existence of Anandamaya is not possible because it is available for transaction, experience. Is it clear?
Yes, but you should understand this Atma that you said here is reference to this Atma. On one hand, refers to Anandamaya, but on the other hand, I understand that this is the Atma that is this is why it's answering to
Yeah, what is the thing? The here what it is actually saying is ka asti ashanka nastitve. What it means, see, how can there be doubt? It does not exist. Okay, does not exist. What it means is, see, there's no doubt about the existence. There cannot be the doubt about the existence of Anandamaya Kosha. Why? It's available for experience. Therefore, what he says, if Brahman, the doubt is always possible about the Brahman only. Existence of Brahman, because Brahman is not available for experience. Therefore, here actually not about the Brahman here. What for him to say, it is an answer for that even they mistake the whole Anandamaya as Brahma. That is what is answered. No, the entire Anandamaya cannot be taken as Brahma because the doubt is possible only about the existence of Brahman. It is not about that. It is this particular question answer is to say that the entire Anandamaya should not be taken as Brahma. For that is the answer. We have moved on now. We have moved on to different topic. See, when now we take, first time he is talking about what Anandamaya Kosha. Okay, what is Anandamaya Kosha? Anandamaya is something which exists, which is there as the Sharira Atma within the Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya is the Shariram, Anandamaya is the Sharira Atma. And there they take the whole Anandamaya to be an Atma. Therefore, Atma is that which is not available for transaction, Atma or Brahma. Therefore, the doubt about the existence is only of the Brahma, not about the Anandamaya Kosha, not about the three factors. Therefore, Anandamaya Kosha need not be mistaken for Brahman. Brahmatma is not Anandamaya Kosha. Distinct, that's what he wants to say. That is the answer here. Okay. Apoda sarva visheshatvattu brahmanaha nastitvam prati ashanka yukta. See, the next one is makes it very clear. Apoda sarva visheshatvattu brahmanaha nastitvam prati ashanka yukta. Sarva samatvatcha brahmanaha. Apodha sarva visheshatvattu brahmanaha nastitvam prati ashanka yukta sarva samatvatcha brahmanaha. See, it is appropriate to have the doubt about the existence of Brahman. See, if at all a person, it is, see, somebody says, I do not believe in the existence of Brahman. For me, Brahman is non-existent because it is not available for any transaction. If somebody says, it is okay, it is acceptable, even though that is not right. If a person does not accept at all, he concludes totally, no, there is no Brahman. If he concludes, then the consequence will be bad that we understood already. But now Shankaracharya says, suppose if at all a person says, I do not believe in the existence of Brahman, such a non-acceptance of the existence of Brahman, it is possible, it is appropriate, it is not inappropriate. Why? It's natural for a person to think that way because Brahman is not available for experience. Okay, why? Anand, that Brahman, sarva samatvatacha brahmanaha. And Brahman is there. Brahman is there in pervasive in everything, in all three different, in everything Brahman is pervasive. At the same time, Brahman is not available for any experience or objectification. It is possible, whereas it is not possible for us to accept the non-existence of the, no, I do not believe in the existence of koshas. One cannot say. The doubt is not possible. The doubt must be about what? About the existence of Brahman or about the existence of Anandamaya Kosha. Priyamoda Pramodaha. Doubt is not about the Anandamaya Kosha. Doubt about the existence is not about the Anandamaya Kosha. It is about the Brahman. Because Brahman is not available for transaction, experience. Whereas Anandamaya Kosha is available for transaction, experience. Therefore, Doubt need not be there, doubt cannot be there, doubt should not be there. Definitely Anandamaya Kosha is there. Therefore, what he wants to say, Anandamaya Kosha being available for experience, it is very much there. Okay, it is mithya, whereas Brahman, whose existence is doubted alone, is what? Atma, Brahma. So the entire Anandamaya Kosha should not be taken as Brahma. Even though we can say finally not only entire Anandamaya Kosha, all the koshas, the entire universe is Brahman only. But Brahman is definitely not Anandamaya Kosha. That is the lesson here. Okay. Yasmadevam Ataha Tasmat Atha, page number 329, I'm reading. See, here he moved on. Now his answer is for actually Bhartru Prapancha. He doesn't talk about Bhartru Prapancha. It is for not some people, whoever is like Bhartru Prapancha. If at all any doubt is there, we should take the entire Anandamaya Kosha as Atma. Then that doubt should go for all of us. Yes, Madevam Ataha Tasmat Atha Anantaram Shrotuhu Sishyasya Anuprashnaha Acharyoktimanu Ete Prashnaha Samanyam Hi Brahma Akashadi Karanatvat Vidushaha Avidushascha Ataha Avidushopi Brahma Prapti Ashankyate. It is nice. Why it is nice? Because this is the situation now. What a situation. What is available for experience, existence of what is available for experience need not be questioned, need not be doubted, because in sense it definitely Anandamaya Kosha is existent. Priyam is there, Modaha is there, Pramodaha is there, is experienced always. Whereas Brahman is not experienced, not available for objectification or experience, very any transaction, there it is doubtful. Is Brahman existent or not? Such a doubt is possible. Therefore, how do we know? He says, there's a student, this disciple here, Sishyasya Anuprashnaha. The student who is listening to the teaching under the student, teacher, and Shrotuhu Sishyasya Anuprashnaha. These prashnas come, when do the questions come? Only when the person has some understanding. In totally ignorant mind, questions cannot rise. In a totally clear mind, questions will not rise. The questions will come only with some understanding. Then based on some understanding alone, doubts can come. Isn't it? There's no understanding at all, doubts will not come. There's a clear understanding, again all the doubts will have resolved. Therefore, here Sishyasya Shrotuhu Sishyasya Anuprashnaha. So Anu Prashnaha means question. Anu means the question based on what is being taught in the class. So Acharya Vuktim Anuprashna Anu Ete Prashnaha. Shankaracharya he separates the word Anu Acharya Vuktim Anu Ete Prashnaha. These questions are based on the teaching of the words of the teacher. It means the teaching. What is that? What is the question? Samanyam hi Brahma. Beautiful. I'm going to read one word by word hereafter. So you'll all enjoy. I enjoy reading the full Bhashyam and then telling. Akasham hi Brahma. Sorry. Samanyam hi Brahma, not Akasham. Samanyam hi Brahma. Brahma Samanyam. Samanyam Brahma means Brahman is the same cause, one and the only same cause of everything here. Brahman is the only absolute cause of everything here. So Samanyam Brahma. Samanyam here means what now? the one and the only common same cause of everything. Everything means what? Akashadi karanatvat. Right from space. Okay. Akashadi, space onwards, all the elements, elementals, living beings, non-living things, mobile beings, immobile beings, all the laws, all the experiences, the ignorant person, wise person, whoever is here, oh, for everything, Brahman is the one and the only common cause. So therefore, vidushaha avidushaha cha. Vidush means vidwan. Okay, vidushaha. Vidwan is the word. Vidushaha means of a wise person. Avidushaha of an ignorant person. Who is the cause? Whoever is existent here, whatever is here now as part of the universe, for everything, Brahman is the common cause, same cause. Which means Brahman is the only one and the same cause of ignorant person as well as the wise person. Vidushaha. See, Vidwan is the word. Avidwan means ignorant. Vidwan is wise person. So Vidushaha, Avidushaha are positive case here. So Vidushaha, Avidushaha of ignorant person and the wise person, Brahman is the same cause. Ataha, therefore, Avidushaha api Brahma praptihi ashankyate. Now the doubt comes. Okay. Attainment, doubt regarding the attainment of Brahman by an ignorant person. Are you following? I'm reading page number 329. Following? So here, the student's question is what? Based on the doubt he has about the attainment of Brahman by an ignorant person. Is it? Will the ignorant person will reach Brahman or not after the death? So it's a very, the teacher has to answer very carefully. The teacher is cornered, as I said already. Avidushaha Brahma Prapti Ashankyate. So, does the ignorant person reach Brahman after death? Suppose what should the teacher say? No, ignorant person does not reach Brahman, cannot reach Brahman after the death. If a teacher says, what will be the consequence? What will be the problem? If an ignorant person does not go back to Brahman after death, he will mistake. Wise person also will not go back to Bhagavan after death. Will not go back to Brahman after death. How can that one thing which came from Brahman will go back to Brahman? Another thing which comes from Brahman will not go back to Brahman. Therefore, anything which comes out of Brahman, anything which has anything and everything which has Brahman as the cause must go back to Brahman only. But the teacher cannot say the answer, no, the wise person, the ignorant person does not go back to Brahman. That answer the teacher cannot give. Suppose the teacher says, yes, ignorant person also goes back to Brahman, the teacher says, then what will be the problem? Then the wise person, why should he make effort to know Brahman if he is going to go back to Brahman? Then the knowledge becomes unnecessary. Ignorant person is going to go back to Brahman. Okay, then the wise person is going to go back to Brahman. Then knowledge becomes unnecessary. Why do we need jnanam? Suppose the teacher says, yes, the ignorant person will go back to Brahman. If the teacher says, what will happen? The knowledge becomes unnecessary. Knowledge is not required. Suppose the teacher says, no, the ignorant person does not go back to Brahman. Then wise person also cannot go back to Brahman. No, that is because he will think, because both have come from the same cause. Suppose the wise person does not know, wise person will go back means there may be another cause other than Brahman. There must be two causes. For wise person, one cause, and for ignorant person, one cause. So anyway, it's a confusing, isn't it? Therefore, the teacher has to give the answer very carefully. Now, he's going to say next sentence. In page number 332. Yeah, okay. 3 331. Uta api avidwan amum lokam paramatmanam itaha pretya kaschana chana shabda apyarthe avidvanapi gacchati prapnoti. So in page number 329, he expressed his doubt about the ignorant person attaining Brahman after death. In page number 331, that line, Shankara Bhagavad presents that a possible doubt about the wise person attaining Brahman. With avidvan amum lokam paramatmanam itaha pretya kaschana gacchati. Again, ignorant person only. Avidvan. In page number 331, he continues the same thing. Listen to me. Uta api avidvan. Avidvan is ignorant person. Amum lokam paramatmanam itaha pretya kaschana chana shabda apyate avidvanapi gacchati prapnoti. Means, does an ignorant person also attain Brahman when pretya, after death? Pretya means mritva, after death, after leaving this physical body. Are you all following? After leaving this physical body, will ignorant person also attain Brahman? In page number 329, he mentions the possibility of the doubt on the part of the student. Okay, and the student's questions are based on the teacher's teaching. And what is the question? Doubt is openly mentioned in page number 331. Whether ignorant person goes back to Brahman, attains Brahman after the death. That is the question. Then in page number 332, we have to read it now. Kim va na gacchati iti dvitiyopi prashnaha drashtavyaha. There's also second question. Anuprashnaha iti bahuvachanat vidvamsam prati anyau dvau यदि अविद्वान सामान्यम कारणमपि ब्रह्म न गच्छति अतः विदुषः अपि ब्रह्मागमनम आशंक्यते. See, if ignorant person does not attain Brahma, then wise person also cannot attain Brahma. Why? For both of them, the cause is the same. See, either both of them must attain Brahman, or both of them should not be able to attain Brahman. But here, does the wise, in page number 331, the question is, does the ignorant person attain Brahman after he dies? After death, what happens to him? He must go back to Brahman. Kim va na gacchati. Does he go? Does he gain Brahman, or does he not attain Brahman? Kim gacchati na gacchati. So dvitiyaha prashnaha drashtavyaha. The second question, we must pay attention to second question. Why? Because does this ignorant person attain Brahman after the death or not? Okay. Then anuprashnaha vidvamsam prati anyau dvau yadi Avidwan samanyam karanamapi brahmana gacchati tataha vidushaha api brahmagamanam ashankite. Suppose the teacher says no, the ignorant person does not go back to Brahman after death. Are you following? Okay, after death, then there will be a doubt about the wise person's attainment of Brahman. If a ignorant person cannot attain Brahman after death, wise person also cannot attain Brahma, because for both of them cause is the same. Because that has been already made very clear. The one and the only same cause for the whole world, everything that has been made very clear. Many times they have been talked about. Tasmadva etasmad akasha sambhutaha. That Srishti Prakriya already established the fact that for everything here, Brahman is the cause. If Brahman is the one and the only cause of everything, after the death, ignorant person, whether he will reach Brahman or not. If he will not reach, then Brahman also cannot reach that Brahman. A wise person also cannot reach that Brahman. If ignorant person cannot reach Brahman, then wise person also cannot reach Brahman. Why? For both of them, cause is the same. Okay. Now, 333. Ataha tam prati prashnaha. Now the question comes. Aho vidwan iti. Vidwan brahma vidapi kaschid itaha pretya amum lokam samashnute prapnoti. Now, in page number 333, the question about the wise person comes. Does the wise person reach Brahman after he leaves his physical body? The first question was whether the ignorant person reached Brahman or not. The second question is, does the wise person reach Brahman or not after death? So, Vidwan, the word with 333, the word Vidwan means wise person. Samashnute means prapnoti. Prapnoti attains. So that's the wise person. Vidwan is a Brahmavid. Vidwan is a Brahmavid. Vidwan, Brahmavidapi, the wise person also, the knower of Brahman. Vidwan, Shankaraचार्य translate, he writes it as Vidwan. Brahmavid. Brahmavidapi kaschit itaha pretya. Itaha, leaving the body here, after the death, leaving this body, amum lokam samashnute. Amum lokam means, does he attain Brahman or not? The two questions. Now, in page number 334, Shankaracharya explains the grammar part of it. Okay, those who want to know grammar, let me tell you. See, samashnute is the verb used in the. Go back to the mantra and I'll tell you what it is. See that sentence. Aho vidvan amun lokam pretya kaschit samashnuta vo. Is it clear? That I want to make it very clear that question, samashnute or not. When the person wants to ask the question, see, does he reach? It's a straight question. Suppose the question is put as an expression of doubt. Does he reach? or not? Okay. When the doubt is expressed, you can prolong the expression. Like here also, samashnute, people who want to know Sanskritam, for their sake I'm telling. Samashnute is a verb. Samashnute is a different verb. Atmanepada means. There, the final letter is what? A. Samashnute, A. When that A comes here, for the sake of prolonging, that A, the preceding Ya. Samashnute, that Ekara, Samashnute also followed by U. This one must be on U also. Kaschit Samashnute, then there must be Ukara. Then what happens? That A and the last, the verb Ekara is replaced by I. A, Ya, Yakar, that consonant I. Then what happens? That the Akara gets dropped. Then the Akara, the final Akara, Samashnute, I comes, then Akara gets prolonged as Samashnuta. So Ekara goes. In the place of Ekara, I comes. Then I also what happens? Yakara gets dropped. Then that Akara becomes prolonged. This I had to write on the board and show you how it is. Again, it's a grammatical information. Is it clear now? Samashnute plus U. Okay? Samashnut I. Then Samashnut A. Samashnuta. And then the number 3 indicates that the matra time taken to pronounce it. Samashnute. Samashnute or not. So Samashnuta. How that A comes. Samashnute means attains. That's all. Don't need to know too much about it. Samashnute attains. So that is Shankaracharya himself explains what is the meaning of word Samashnute. Okay. Samashnute U ityevam sthite. The verb is like Samashnute and there's Ukaraha. There's Ukara already. Samashnute U. Then Ayadeshaha. Then I comes. I Adeshaha means what comes is Adeshaha. I Adeshaha. Then in that I Adeshaha, Yakara se lopaha. Yakara gets removed. Then Yakara also goes. Then Akara which is there, it has Plutihi. Akara has Plutihi means what? It is prolonged. Thereby what is the expression finally you get? Samashnuta. That you get. Okay. Why should we call corrections? Why we should know all these things? Here, Vidwan Samashnite Amam Lokam. What is the finally, what is that you need to understand? Does Vidwan attain Brahman or not? Kimva Yatha Avidwan Evam Vidwan api na Samashnute iti aparaha prashnaha. Does Vidwan attain Brahman or not? This is another question. Shankaracharya tells, Dvaveva prashnau vidvad avidvad vishayo. Okay. There are only 2 questions asked about the ignorant person and the wise person. Is it clear? There are only 2 questions asked about the whether ignorant person goes to Brahman or not after death, whether the wise person goes back to Brahman or not after death. There are only 2 questions. But the question, the Upanishad says, Athato no prashnaha. That is in plural word. The word prashnaha is in plural. But the question, 2 questions have been asked, which means there must be 3rd question also. Why? Because in Sanskritam we have dual. Okay? Sanskritam we have singular, dual, and plural. Only 2 questions have been presented. We only dual. But the question, the word is prashnaha, plural word. Therefore, there must be more than 2 questions. Only 2 questions are explicitly revealed by this student. But Upanishad says, Athato no prashnaha. Atha, thereafter, in keeping with the teaching, the student asked questions. Ask means what? He did not ask openly. The teacher himself assumed the questions. The two questions were openly, explicitly revealed in the Upanishad. So there must be one more question also. At least minimum one more question must be there, because there's a prashnaha is a plural word. There can't be dual. Therefore, bahuvachanam to samarthya prapta prashnantarapekshaya. Therefore, the plural is used here. Then there must be another question also. There is an other question. Okay. Other question implied there, even though no other question, third question is not prop explicitly revealed there, there must be the third question. Okay. In fact, the third question should be taken as the first question. Third question should be taken as the first question. What is that? Whether Brahman exists or not. So now Shankaracharya conclude. We'll come back and see in the afternoon. See, now Shankara Bhagavad comments upon these lines. Uta vid, see, athato no prashnaha. That one line in the mantra. You see that mantra now? Tasseshaye vasharira atma yah purvasya. For that he says, the asharira atma obtaining within this Vijnanamaya atma is Anandamaya koshaha. Anandamaya atma. And that regarding the Anandamaya kosha, there are doubts. So doubts must be what? Atha anuprashnaha. The doubts cannot be about, the questions cannot be about the Brahm. Anandamaya kosha, because available for experience. The doubt must be only about a Brahman, which is not available for transaction. Now, what is the question here? Anuprashnaha. Uta avidvan lokam pretya. Lokam pretya kaschana gachati. Whether the ignorant person goes back to Brahman after death or not. Now, another question is what? Whether vidwan amam lokam pretya. Pretya amam lokam. Whether vidwan, the wise person, goes back to Brahman or not after death. Two questions. But Shankaracharya writes, there are only two questions explicitly revealed here. There must be at least one more third question. Why? Because prashnaha is a plural expression. Only two questions asked in a dual, that is. Therefore, one more question is implied there. What is that question? Does Brahman exist or not? The implied question is the first question, most important question, which is possible now about Brahman alone. Why? Because Brahman alone is not available for transaction. Does Brahman exist or not is the implied question, which is not explicitly revealed in the Upanishad. So for that, answer is given in the following sentence. Is it clear now? Yeah. See, this topic also discussed elaborately when we did the Moola original text. So you can also refer there. Okay. Now, because our commitment is to read the whole Bhashyam, and we have to say this. I tried to avoid the grammar part, but anyway. Actually, it's very interesting to know. The grammar also very interesting to know. Nice to know all these things. I do a little bit and then leave it. 335. Asad brahmeti veda ched. Asti brahmeti ched veda. Iti shravanad asti nasti iti samshayaha. So, if a person thinks that Brahman is non-existent, or another person who thinks Brahman is existent, that because we happen to listen to this now here, the sentences are heard. Therefore, there's a doubt about the existence of Brahman. Tataha artha prapta kim asti nasti iti pratamaha anuprashnaha. Therefore, what is arrived at finally? Kim asti nasti. Whether Brahman exists or not is the first question, which is not mentioned here, but we should take it as the first question. Okay. Now we'll come back and see. Is it clear? Any questions? Krishna ji? It's very, this is portion, simple portion only. Only thing is, I'll be very happy for all of you to, sometimes I don't see any expression on my face and I feel, okay, I don't want to stop the next bit. I just want to go ahead.
The meaning of the question is self-knowledge, but not the total. So the same format is self-knowledge. Clarifying question.
Of course.
So it's the word of God.
No. Here, see, now we have finished the Upasana part, is now over. Here, attainment of Jnanam is being explained. Jnana Prapti. So, see, this is a possible question on the part of the student. This one is asking the question. So, if Brahman is the common cause of everything, everybody must go back to Brahman only after the death. See, wise person also goes, ignorant person also goes. So, where do they go? Both of them go to Brahman or not? If yes, the teacher says yes, ignorant person goes. There's a problem. Why? Then why we don't need to work for wisdom? Jnanam is not necessary. Suppose he says he doesn't go. Then we'll take what? Okay, then cause is the same for both. If ignorant person cannot go back to Brahman after death, wise person also cannot go back to Brahman. That'll be the thing. Therefore, he says from these two questions, whether the doubt is what is implicitly indirectly mentioned is the very existence of Brahman. So does Brahman exist or not is the third question. The question, first question, which is implied in this, which is we understand from these two questions. It means the three questions the teacher assumes from the student. So he's answering. I think it's going on well, isn't it? Clear now? You must be able to connect it. See how after the Panchakosha Prakriya, talking about the Anandamaya Kosha, and then gradually coming to Brahman. And it is also very nice to understand how important it is to know Brahman. We do not have the Brahman as the goal, then what will be the consequence? Then now he's taking on to the what possible questions. Very nice. It's a complete Upanishad. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om